Welcome everyone. Welcome Belma, welcome Jill. Thank you for joining so promptly. So good to see you. So excited for today's session to kick off. So we really appreciate you all tuning in today. We are so excited to dive into this office hours, both to learn all about how we can grow and nurture an organic Instagram following, and also because a core goal of Dreamers and Doers is to amplify you and your journeys. And one of the ways we achieve this is by facilitating game-changing events that give us all the opportunity to up-level together. And that's what this is today. So before we officially begin, I wanted to share a bit of background information on our esteemed expert. Shang is the Director of Omnichannel Strategy and Analytics at CVS Health. Her career spans management consulting and retail. She was most recently an engagement manager at LEK Consulting, and prior she held roles at Victoria's Secret and an e-commerce startup. Shang has started 2 solo businesses and blogs about personal finance at Save My Sense on Instagram, which has grown to more than 78,000 followers. So we're definitely going to be diving more into that today. Shang received her MBA from the University of Chicago Booth School of Business and a BA in economics from Harvard College. She lives with her husband, son, and 2 cats in New York City. And with that, I will hand it over to you, Shang. We are so excited to learn from your expertise today. We know how valuable your time is, and we can't wait to learn from you.
Thank you, Hannah. And I'm also currently brewing a second son in my stomach. So if you find me leaning back a little bit in my chair, it's because he's currently sitting on a very full lunch stomach that I have right now. So it's not the most comfortable. Thank you. And he's due Christmas Eve. So it will be a nice little Christmas present
I love
to my first kid, although I don't think he'll see it as a present. But anyway, today's really meant to be super conversational. Like you're sitting in my little New York child's room versus office. Like that's how I want to treat today. So please feel free to unmute yourselves, interrupt me, write questions in the chat. Even though I have a structured presentation, I don't want this to feel like a lecture to all of you. But I'll introduce y'all to my Instagram story and growth. Then I'm going to touch on mainly 3 things that I'd like you to take away, which is your content needs pillars, how to do interactions and collabs, which is key to growing your account, and what did not work. And then I'll end on a Q&A. So Hannah already quickly summarized what Save My Sense, which is the Instagram that I run, is all about. Basically, there are 3 main parts to Save My Sense. First is educating on the really important link between personal finance and mental health. A lot of people, when they think of personal finance, they think it's just the numbers. It's about cutting out avocado toast and your morning Starbucks run. But in actuality, what I found is that if your mental health is not good, your ability to manage your personal finances also decreases. So if you treat your mental health, a ton of things work out. So this could be trauma, your upbringing, recent experiences, things like that. Then we also talk about my retirement, or why the heck am I on Instagram to begin with? When I was 31, I'm 37 now, I reached the ability to retire early because I just invested a ton of my own money into the stock market, and did so in a way that also rode a really good stock market for about 10 years. And teaching that to other people, and how to navigate in the United States the complex system of the 401ks, IRAs, taxable brokerages and stuff. Then there's the financial advocacy. I'm a pretty non-political account. That's just my choice. But there are 3 or 4 topics that I care very strongly about. One, especially with my audience being primarily women, I believe that women can and should be the CFO of their households and lives. Don't trust money to men. They're too emotional with their money, as we've seen with crypto trading over the last few years. Also, for those of you guys in relationships, we need to be able to spot financial abuse and be able to get out safely, because that is devastating. And it's what keeps a lot of people in abusive relationships to begin with, which is not having control over money. financial advisor. So I myself am not a financial advisor. I'm a coach. I'm a personal finance influencer and educator. But there's a lot of people out there that want to make money off of you, especially if they see that you're like a rising entrepreneur and that you're likely going to have a lot of money in the future. They're not necessarily looking out for you, or more so, they're probably looking out more for the commissions that they can make. So that's something that I educate people about. And finally, for those of us who work corporate 9 to 5 jobs, but even those of us who are entrepreneurs, negotiating your value is a huge part. So I'm sharing tips today on how I grew to over 75,000 followers in basically a very organic and authentic manner. So I never ran paid ads. I don't really jump on trends that don't make sense to me. That's not saying that you should do that. There's definitely a lot of accounts that use a combination of paid advertising to also grow very quickly and scale. It's just not my cup of tea. And also, this is not my source of income. So I'll share some real numbers. And I would say, I was actually sharing Hannah. I was like, oh my gosh, I was just celebrating the fact that I went over 75,000 followers and then I got invited to talk about this topic. And I'm like, but wait, I feel like a total imposter trying to talk about this topic because I'm like, I'm not, I don't have a million followers or anything like that. For my niche, I have a pretty good following. I would say the largest accounts in my niche have between 300 to 500,000 followers. And you're considered pretty darn good once you get to 100,000. So 100,000 right now is my goal. So I actually started my account in 2017. It was fugly. I had like no logo, no color coordination. My fonts change all the time. I use an Android phone, so everything's uglier on an Android compared to an Apple. I literally felt like I was shouting into the void. At that time, I had already been coaching people on the side to figure out how to lower their debts, how to pay down their debts, how to start a 401k. So that was what I was teaching at the time. In 2018, I finally decided to color coordinate. I chose a black and white layout. Mosaic just means that every other post is the same color. So you have a white post and a blue post, white post, black post, like that. I found one hashtag that actually did work for me, which is called the debt-free community. That people use that hashtag when they followed teachings of Dave Ramsey, who at that time was still a very popular financial educator who taught people how to pay down their debt. So that was the first like real Instagram community that I found. And I began engaging, like literally just commenting and liking and following other accounts who use that same hashtag. 2019 was finally when I felt like I found traction. I crossed 10,000 followers, which is usually the minimum at which affiliate networks start reaching out to you and start asking you to advertise. I was like, okay, I did something right. I got some online media features completely out of the blue. People reached out to me, although later I found out that there are ways to get a good PR machine going as well. And I think Dreamers and Jewelers is fantastic at doing that. I launched my first paid course, 10K revenue. And then the subsequent 3 years, I'm not going to read it out loud, but you'll see that basically the follower growth, most of the follower growth happened between 2019 and 2020. Then it kind of went up and down after that. My revenue continued to grow because I got pretty good at automating and selling some courses. I donate all of my profits. I live off of my 9 to 5 income. So I think that's part of the reason why I can keep my IG so authentic. And again, I'm not saying that that has to be the route for most of you. I recognize most of you want to make money off of your IG. So, but in some way, by not caring about the profits as much, I think that allowed me more freedom in thinking about the content that I wanted to share. I'm only going to flash this twice. I don't want to make this all about me, but if any of you guys are interested in getting a free hour of personal finance coaching, so like where we actually talk about saving money and investing your money and stuff like that, shout out, save my cents, use whatever format you want. You can take a screenshot of this or I don't know, share my picture, and I'll pick someone this week to win a free hour of coaching. Woohoo! So let's talk about content pillars. Do any of you already have content pillars planned for your Insta? So if you have any, share what you believe are your content pillars in the chat. I'd love to see if people already have strong ideas on what their content pillars should be. And to define content pillars. Content pillars are basically themes or values or topics that your account is likely to consistently post on. So themes, values, stuff you like to talk about. If you know that that's like some of the pillars that are consistent for your account, share them in the chat. Awesome. Home decor, wellness, rituals, values, inspiration. I like that. Thanks, Teresa. Most people who coach on social media will say that you need at least 3 pillars. I kind of subscribe to that, but I don't think you have to have exactly 3, but I'll share some examples. Awesome. Alice does Fit for DDs, body positivity, customer testimonies, and entrepreneurship. I love it. So Save My Sense, I probably already summarized that I do mental health and financial health. I talk about success mindset, and then specifically retirement in the United States. I picked 2 other content like influencers that I follow. I don't follow a lot of people because I don't have time to be on the social media. David Saavedra really stuck out to me because most photographers just share their end photo. He really goes through the process of posing and how he takes photos of strangers, and then also some funny tidbits from his personal life. Food science babe, completely different. This is a person who is a food scientist, and I think she started her account as an antidote to the food babe. There's a food babe out there who talks about toxic ingredients. So the food science babe educates on food ingredients, food science, and what's interesting about her is that she gets personal in her stories. Her child, who I think is like maybe 5 years old now, suffered a seizure in the womb, and it really affects the development of her child. So that's a really personal part of her that she shares in her stories. I believe that a lot of y'all are managing or going to be creating Instagram accounts for your businesses. So how do you think about it in terms of a business, right? What can you share? These are just 3 random examples of ones that pop up to me a lot. Slim Jim is actually known for being the wildest, non-related kind of Instagram account that there is for a brand, and that most of the humor is pretty innuendo based related to meat, and they're known for dropping really crazy funny comments on other humor Instagrams. So that's like Slim Jim. Go Clean Co. I don't like them as much anymore, but Go Clean Co. used to be this account. It's a cleaning company where they show how they clean the nastiest of the most disgusting parts of your house. Like I didn't know that I was supposed to wipe my baseboards, and now I wipe my baseboards, and I learned how to get rid of some of the hardest stuck on pieces of my oven from Go Clean Co. And they used to have homemade recipes for all their cleaners. Like you didn't have to go spend a lot of money, but they changed a little bit now. So that's Go Clean Co. Charcuterie and things. I love charcuterie boards. I'm just so fascinated with how beautiful they are. And most charcuterie companies just showcase their end product. For charcuterie things, photographs is really, and I don't know, stop motion photography. I think it is, which is really time consuming to make, is they show time lapse videos of how they put together the charcuterie boards. So those are some ways that you can do it as a company. And what I also want to show is that there is a variety of content that you can use to drive different types of engagement. So you have a couple of types at your fingertips on Instagram specifically. You could do a single image post, like just post 1 image. You could do a carousel, which is up to 10 images. You can do a reel, which is basically Instagram's version of TikTok. You can also do lives, so broadcasting your thoughts to the world in a live format. Here's how I typically use 3 of the formats. I don't have enough time to do lives, so I don't tend to do lives all that much. Reels, they're hard to make, for sure. I feel a little bit, quote unquote, too old to really understand how to use a reel, so I just try to use it in a way that makes sense for me. Here's a screenshot of a recent reel that I have. The title is How Would I Go About Spotting a Wealthy Woman? And I wanted to make the reel a little bit surprising and also relatable, such that people would share because they're like, wow, I really relate to what this reel is saying. And that's how you can try to get viral content. Again, viral content sometimes literally comes out of nowhere. You can try to plan it, and then sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. It totally happens. Carousels tend to work the best for me because I think personal finance is a complex topic. It's oftentimes very, very difficult to narrow the information that I share into just one image. And so carousels, I get 10 images to work with. And so I posted about how to prep for a possible recession. We technically are in a recession, although the government doesn't want to declare it for political reasons. I also talked about some of the most memorable things I did to save money by living in New York City. I'm moving at the end of this month to Orange County, California. And that got a little personal, and people like that because if you get a little personal, it builds trust on the platform. And so I try to not make my entire feed all money, 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 or it's all personal finance. I do try to put in parts of my own story that I feel like people can relate to. People can be like, okay, there's like a real human behind this Instagram. And if you get someone's trust, if you get someone to like the values and the personality that I put out on Instagram, then you have a loyal follower. For simpler concepts, like I have this concept where I taught people how to think about decluttering, and it's not sparking joy. I actually really do not follow Marie Kondo at all. I think her method is frou-frou. So this is a very informational post. And I ask people to engage with the post by sharing their own tips and thoughts on decluttering below. So any questions on content pillars, different content types? Because I'm going to jump to something that's very different, which is collaborations and interactions with other accounts. Oh, thank you, Jesse. I'm glad I was helpful. Okay, so how I differentiate between content and interactions is your content forms I love using food analogy. Your content is the soup. Your content is what's going to have the flavor that people want to engage and drink from your account and learn from you. But to grow, to sell your soup, to make other people know about your soup, you have to do it through interactions and collaborations. And because again, I'm an organic account, I'm not paying other people to sell on my behalf. I'm not buying ads on Facebook or Instagram. I recently saw that there's influencers now advertising on New York City cabs. That was weird. I don't do any of that. So the only real organic way to get other people to know about me is through interactions. Juliana, can I recommend some training on how to do all these things, reels? There are a lot of Instagram, there are other Instagram accounts out there that will give tutorials on how to do reels. There's apps. The InShot app is the one that most people like to use the most to do timed reels, like reels that you have to time to music. I will, during the Q&A, I'll look up a couple of Instagrammers I follow where they actually like teach strategy around Instagram that I follow for that. Yeah, for sure. There's ways to learn, and also it's really confusing because it changes all the time. Oh, Lucas O'Keefe. Lucas O'Keefe is my favorite. I hope I typed this right. Lucas O'Keefe. I think he's the most genuine in terms of teaching how the algorithms change over time and how you need to keep up with the algorithms. Let me just double check. I actually have my Instagram window open right now. The Lucas O'Keefe. Okay, I spelled that wrong. The Lucas O'Keefe. Social media. He's by far my favorite personality to follow because he really like breaks it down into what should you do to get discovered? Should you do guest posts? What kind of new content should you be posting, etc., etc. So that's the one that I like the most. Ooh, Katie Hawkins. Ah, nice, nice. Thank you for sharing. Yes, any others you find are helpful, please. Like I said, in major imposter syndrome here, I don't feel the most qualified to answer these questions, but I'm just sharing my personal experiences. So for me, interacting and collaborating with other Instagram accounts that are kind of in my same lane or related to my lane was the way that I grew the most. Like every now and then I do get PR exposure. Like I got featured on Business Insider, Forbes featured me, Time Magazine's Next Advisor featured me 2 years ago, and I'll get like a spurt of followers from that. But you want to, in between the waiting game of like getting a really awesome media feature, you want to continue growing your account and really the collaborations where you feature posts from other accounts and they feature you is how most of us grow these days. You do want to build a relationship. Sometimes if you don't know them at all, like you've never followed them before, sometimes I'll just start commenting on their posts a few times and sharing some of their content before I reach out. You do want to approach accounts in similar niches or adjacent niches. So the ones that work for me. So obviously I work with a lot of other personal finance, investing accounts. But I also work with travel accounts to focus on points and miles because there's a huge part of my journey where I save a lot of money on traveling by doing the points and miles game. And we're not competitive because if I do personal finance accounts, in a way we are competitive. But if I do travel and points and miles, it's not competitive. I also tend to collaborate a lot with mommy groups as well. That's another feature because I really have a heart for educating mothers, especially stay-at-home mothers, on managing household finances. You want to make the ask simple. The easiest way to do this is what's called a post swap. You find a post that has a lot of engagement on your side. So usually it's a single image post or a carousel post. And you share that with the other account. And then basically you guys offset your posts on different days to feature each other. So for example, on a Tuesday, I could feature, actually, I did this yesterday. Yesterday, I featured Andrew at Fluent in Finance, another account. I picked one of his posts, which was talking about choose your heart. Do you want to work for 20 years and never see the end of it? Or do you want to invest for 20 years and reap the rewards or something like that? So I featured him and I wrote a little caption, say, hey, go check out Andrew at Fluent in Finance. The day before, he featured a post of mine where I talked about how like people shouldn't look down on frugality. Like frugality works no matter what. It's a great thing to do. How do I do the feature? It's just a post. You actually have the option inside the Instagram app to invite collaborator. And this is completely up to you if you want to do it. If you invite the collaborator, you tag the person that you feature, the post shows up on both of your accounts. However, a lot of the post swaps that I do is we offset each other. So I post Andrew yesterday, Andrew posted me 2 days ago. So we don't invite each other. We do tag each other, we share it. But this way it makes it look a little bit more natural and you get two posts instead of one. You want to time the collabs during high times of engagement. So it's actually different. For me, most people log on and see my profile at the end of the day, like 9 p.m. their local time or later. So sometimes I might post someone in the evening. Instagram, though, the way Instagram measures engagement, it's really tricky. They measure engagement in a 24-hour cycle from when you post the post. And the way that Instagram decides to show more of your posts to other people is that if the average engagement on your last like 3, 4, 5 posts is trending up, then Instagram will show you more to other followers. When engaging reaching out, do we do it from a company handle or personal handle? Almost always from the company handle. So I do have two assistants who work with me on Save My Sense. I give both of them access using Facebook's page manager. So you can connect your Instagram to your Facebook page. And that allows you to have other people, as long as they have a Facebook account, to manage your Instagram's comments, messages, etc., without ever logging into your Instagram account itself. And they can also use Facebook page manager to schedule posts, put up drafts and everything. So all my assistants use Facebook page manager and they reach out on my behalf. They'll be like, hey, this is Stephanie on behalf of Shang at Save My Sense. I do ask them to identify themselves as the assistant. Or what I might do is I could reach out to someone first because I'm friends with them. I'm like, hey, there's a woman, Aunt Kara, that I work with all the time. I'm like, hey, Kara, want to do another swap? She's like, yeah, sure. I'm like, awesome. Stephanie's going to follow up with you. And Stephanie jumps in on my behalf. and does like the coordinating of which post to use and what times. With influencer, better to reach out from personal account versus company. I look at it from perspective, like if I get a random message and it says, hey, I am so working on behalf of company, we want to work with you. To me, I can't tell if it's genuine or not. I cannot tell whether like the person who reached out to me via their personal account actually does work for the company. So this is why I use the Facebook Manager platform instead. And on the right hand side where I say don't cold approach without being in a relationship or network. So like I consider y'all in D&D to be my friends. Like even though I don't follow a lot of people on Instagram only because I'm so overwhelmed. If you message me and say, hey, I'm D&D, want to do a collab, totally, that's awesome. What I don't like is like when someone reaches out to me, they have like no follow, maybe 100 followers. I get it a lot. They're like, hey, Shang, can you like give me feedback on my account? I'm just like, I'm really sorry. I don't have the time to do that. So you want to engage with accounts similar with your size. You can go upwards to about 5 times your audience size. I think is about the limit. I have found that, yeah, when I was like in 10,000, people with 50,000 followers would still look at me, but people at 100,000 followers would not. Now that I'm close to 100,000, people with 200, 300,000 followers would still pay attention to me, but above that, not really. And how do I know the times with high engagement if you're just starting out? So if you are a business account on Instagram, you should have business insights as part of your toolkit. You can either find it inside the app or you can find it on Facebook Page Manager. There's a ton of insights they'll share with you, like the demographics of your account. They'll show you a timeline of a typical day. They'll show you at what times more accounts are looking at your Instagram account. So that's how I use to determine highest engagement, also highest engagement days. So they do it on days of the week and also hours of the day. So great question, Jen. Don't ask to be paid to do collabs. Collabs are really, it's really a give and take kind of thing. Don't make it complicated. And as I found out, sometimes collaborations don't work out because you just have really different audiences. And sometimes like you're doing these cold reach outs and you don't know what the other person is like actually trying to market to. But hey, it's okay. Some things work out and some things don't. Just like all partnerships in business, you kind of have to, you develop more of an intuition as you go along. Another way to grow well organically, and some people might argue this is not organic because it involves a giveaway or it involves money, but I do a lot of giveaways. And this is partially because a lot of the profits from my account, I give away anyway. So that has worked really well for me. This works well also if you have physical products, if you have services, you want to give away services that are not too high cost for you to produce. So for example, I'm giving away like 1 hour to chat with you about your personal finance situation. I've been doing this for 6 years, so it's very easy for me to do. But if someone were to ask me, hey, can you do like a 1 hour presentation for my company? Then I'd be like, that's a lot of work. I have to prep the materials and everything. That would not be 1 hour of work for me. It's also super easy for me to give away copies of my classes because it's all digital and it's super scalable, etc. How to run the giveaway without it coming across as spammy. The one that I love the most, my number one tip, is do it with a launch. So I have 2 classes. I have 2 classes. Yes, sorry. I have 2 main classes that I promote. One is a class on retirement. One is a class on abundance mindset. I launch the classes every 2 months. So to kind of offset. So basically once a month, people know that I'm opening up a class. The classes are evergreen. You can take the class at any time, but by launching it, I can create what it's essentially a promotional period. So let's say my launch cycle is 5 days. I do either 5-day or 10-day launch cycles, depending on how much time I have. I have a pricing strategy where I do the lowest price within the first 48 hours, and the price keeps going up until it reaches close to the full price at the end of the launch cycle. I never sell my courses full price. I mean, other than the fact that some people forget to put in the coupon code, but I almost never sell my courses full price. And so I also do the giveaway in conjunction with the course opening, where I either give away copies. I sometimes give away money prizes on top. Amazon gift cards are super, super easy for me to do. The most complicated giveaway I ever attempted, and it was out of goodness of my own heart, but I realized I bit off more than I could chew. I wanted to fund $2,000 for a new company, like anyone who wanted to have seed money. I wasn't going to take any equity stake or anything. I'm just going to fund them $2,000 to start the company. And then I had like a whole form where I asked people to put in their contact info and their company, what they're doing. And then I was like, oh my God, I'm feeling busy trying to read all of these company pitches. So that took me way too much work. So you really have to also think about how you're giving this stuff away to make it easy on yourselves. There are tools out there, like winner picker tools that you can use to like pick a winner from the people who liked you on Instagram or the people who commented to you on Instagram. But for me, the biggest CTA call to action I want the person's email address. The problem with Instagram is that at the end of the day, it's an anonymous platform. People can change their username, so you have no idea who you're dealing with. But I get the most ROI in running my company by having my own email address, my own email newsletter that I run separate from Instagram, because you just never know whether Instagram is going to go down. I have my original Facebook account deleted for no reason. So I'm always afraid that my Instagram account is also going to get deleted for no reason. And so I always collect email addresses as part of a giveaway. And sometimes I do group giveaways where like I'll invite like 3 or 4 other accounts to also give away a product or a prize, and we all publicize the giveaway. And you've probably seen those where like you have to follow all of the accounts that are doing the giveaway, and then you could win. So I use this fantastic service called Active Campaign. I can get you my referral email at the end, but this is the Active Campaign is basically a customer relationship management software. It is pricey. For 10,000 contacts, I pay close to $2,000 a year, I think, to have 10,000 contacts. And I'm kind of reaching my 10,000 limit. So the more contacts you add, the more you pay. But they have forms that you can sign up. You can customize the forms so that you're collecting people's email. You're tagging in with the giveaway, so you know like you acquired this email address as part of the giveaway. You can run questionnaires on it, segment it. It's fantastic, and it's also very easy to learn. So the data-driven part of me really loves that. Some people ask as part of a giveaway to share the giveaway thing to their stories, but the problem is a ton of your followers are going to be private accounts, and Instagram does not allow you any easy way to figure out who reshares your content to their stories or to their private accounts. You can only see it from public accounts. So that's why it's super difficult, and that's why I don't really ask people to reshare my stuff for a giveaway. I also, I lose a little bit of patience, so I put it as part of my giveaway strategy. Like they have to respond within 36 hours to claim their prize. Otherwise, I'm not going to give it to them. And don't try to overgive in the beginning. So sometimes I might start my giveaway with like a value of $250, $500 of prizes. And then if I see that the interest is good, like I'm seeing more traction and I'm getting a lot more email addresses than originally intended, then what I might do is expand the prize, and I'll announce it in my stories, because you have to link back to the original giveaway. So let me just stop sharing and to make this look a little more real for people. I'm going to move to my Instagram account to show how to tie together a giveaway with Active Campaign. Okay, so this is, you should all now be seeing my shot on my Instagram account. I use Linktree. There's a lot of providers that allow you to put like one URL in your profile. Linktree, I like. There's like 2 others. Link in bio, I think, is another one. So if you look at this, there's like a couple of links that I send people to. This is my next class. This is my mailing list. So this usually I use this. If you click on it, it's a form that ActiveCampaign creates. So you can grab their email, you can ask them to submit anything you want, and then once they click this, that email address is then pulled into my ActiveCampaign, and I'll just show you what that looks like. In the meantime, let me I'll just go back to let me find a giveaway example. So this was my 77,000 follower giveaway. Once the giveaway is closed, I put giveaway closed in the caption. So I lay out the prizes. I think I did a gift card, charity, spots in my classes. I give instructions on how to enter, some legal yada yada, respond within 36 hours to claim. And then what I do is like in my link in bio, my first link will probably be 77,000 follower giveaway form. And then let me show you how it actually looks like on the ActiveCampaign. Ooh, Velma, you use ActiveCampaign. Awesome. I'm not the only one. I tried out MailChimp. I've tried out Tiny Letter. Like that was if you have like very, very few email addresses to start. I think Tiny Letter caps you at 2,000 contacts, maybe. What else have I tried? I looked at Constant Contact. I also looked at Flow Desk. But I think it was ActiveCampaign that really won me over, because I was chatting with somebody who actually sets up online systems for other influencers, and she's like, oh, the one that people like the most is actually ActiveCampaign. And so it was pricey, but over time I found, whoa, this is like pretty awesome. So let me just show you now the form section of ActiveCampaign. So I'm inside website forms. You'll see I've actually created multiple sign up lists for different webinars and giveaways. So this is my 77,000 person giveaway. You can design it so you can have like their email, their Instagram, and then the call to action, I have them subscribe to my main list. And then when you look at the contacts that you have, so you can see how I'm building my mailing list over time. A bunch of people are on this wait list from one of my courses. Someone came in via a free download. Okay, recently I've been doing some course launches. That's where a lot of them are coming in. I had a networking webinar, so that's where a bunch of these others came in as well. I think I saw another question. How big should an account be before you do a giveaway? I don't think you need to reach any certain size. I think you do want to scale how much you're giving away for your audience. Like if you have less than 10,000 followers, you know, a $50, $100 giveaway is pretty decent. Most of my giveaways now have retail value of like $1,000, $2,000 worth of giveaways, but a lot of it is my courses. So my courses are priced like $100 a pop. So it's not that much money for me to give away. So again, you want to think about high impact, but low cost for you to run a giveaway. Oh yeah, dupe accounts. Danielle raised a really great point. She had a giveaway and 3 basically robot accounts created and then copied like their content, and they'll reach out to your followers saying where to give away. So I make it very clear. I make it super, super clear on my giveaway like caption and the giveaway image, like the announcement comes from Save My Sense, and you'll get a DM from Save My Sense. You're going to get an email from info@savemysense.com. So there's no way those robot accounts can duplicate my email and my DMs and all of that. But for sure, there's always fake accounts on Twitter, on Instagram. It's a huge problem. And unfortunately, Instagram doesn't really do anything about it. My last kind of official page before I go to Q&A is what had not worked for me. Now, keep in mind, things that don't work for me doesn't mean that they don't work for everyone. It's just that if you want to have this more organic, non-paid approach. Some things just are not designed for that. And so I think the number one thing I want to emphasize, and why like you have to think about content pillars, is you have to give people a reason to follow and stay following your account and engage with your account. If you're constantly talking about your products, constantly talking about your services, and you're not inspiring people in some way, you're not making them laugh, you're not making them think or relate to you in some way, then it gets really old. And that's what I found in a lot of niches like fashion accounts. I found that in financial services accounts, they don't reach the amount of reach that an influencer in the space gets. So you'll often find a fashion influencer has more followers than the fashion brands that they represent. Why? The fashion brands just post their products, but the fashion influencer shows you how they live their life, the lifestyle that the brand is trying to sell, right? So I used to be a wedding photographer. Most wedding photographers I know cap out at 10,000 followers at most, because weddings are only a very short amount of someone's lives, if even. But the ones that I like, the reason why I like David's photo is he shows the behind the scenes. He shows you how to pose. He shows you how things go from a bad edit to a good edit, things like that. The how to, the how you make the soup, so to speak, right? You're selling your soup, but you got to show how you make the soup. And so that's what I like about accounts that have really strong content pillars that do that. I've seen some accounts where they use a program, like if they detect a new follower, they send like a welcome message to a new follower. I try that, does not work out. Some accounts will try to like, they'll create a post and they'll tag like 10, 20 accounts they want to like collab with. Also not cool, kind of looked down upon. I made a mistake. I found a couple of accounts that feature like investing advice, and some of them charged me $100 to get featured. I paid $100, got featured on an account that looked like it had 150, 200,000 followers. Turns out it was mostly bot followers. It really wasn't doing much for me, so that also didn't work. Instagram actually tells you now, don't do 1 million hashtags. Keep it to about fewer than 10 hashtags. Again, finding the right hashtag. Hashtags that work well for me are ones that I know for sure people click on to try to find similar content. So debt-free community was one. Early retirement is another one that I use. And for one recent one that seems to work well for me is women in finance. So I've been starting to use that. I think somebody before we started this webinar asked about like how to like follow trends or plan content. So I would say maybe half of my content is like pre-planned, like preconceived in my head, somewhat loosely scheduled. And then about half of my content is a little bit more spontaneous. Like I see, inflation numbers just got announced today, so I'll probably share that. Or I found a really funny reel and I want to replicate it. I'll do that too if I think I can do it. You want to have a sense of spontaneity to your account so people feel like, hey, there's a real person behind here and they're up with the themes of the day. I think that's why Slim Jim is so relevant to people, because they're just so funny. And how do I know which hashtags work well for you? There are websites where you can measure how many people follow a certain hashtag or how many people use a certain hashtag. I forgot if it's hashtag generator. I haven't used it in a while, but there are ways to research that. So good question. I probably did not give the best answer, but there are tools out there that can help you analyze hashtags. Paying for Instagram growth course. Like I agonize and agonize and agonize over whether I should pay to learn how to do Instagram, because I'm always like, oh man, I'm an older millennial already. I can't relate to people who are like half my age, yada, yada, yada. So I would say I probably went more the slow turning method, but I feel like I really adjusted and understood what I was doing each time. And I wasn't trying to follow somebody else's strategy that like maybe made sense for them, but not so much for me. Like really what I'm trying to show here is like follow a core strategy that is true to the values of that you want to espouse, that's true to what you want to represent for your account online. And I think that's the best way to go. You might be invited to be part of an engagement pod. Basically, like the engagement pod usually has 10 people. and a ton of you promise to share each other's content once a week for like half a year. I'm just like, it's too hard, it's too much work, I don't want to do it. And also trying to be everything everywhere all at once. At first I was like, do I need to be on Twitter? Do I need to be on TikTok? Do I need to have my blog? Do I need to be on YouTube? Do I need to be on Instagram? Unless I have an assistant for each. I actually have a team of assistants now. I have two that help me with my blog specifically because I'm actually strategically putting more emphasis on my .com, savemysense.com, in case Instagram blows up. Because I just have a feeling that Meta is doing all these things to change Instagram, and I might not like the changes in the future. For political reasons, I'm not on TikTok. I'm very anti-Chinese government, so a huge reason I'm not on TikTok, even though the growth and the reach is incredible. It's just it cannot align with my personal values, so I'm not on there. I can't figure out Twitter. I don't have time for it. YouTube requires a lot of video work. Video work is very exhausting to me as a full-time working mom, so I decided to drop that. So once you figure out something and something works, like Instagram is not working for me, I can get an assistant to help me with stuff. Now I'm going to shift my focus to something that I'm not very good at, which is blogging. So if any of you guys are really good at blogging, let me know because I'd love to learn from you. That's just the way that I learn. So I'll remind you one more time, if you are interested in learning about personal finance from me, completely not related to Instagram. It's just like me telling you how to like pay off debt and how to optimize your retirement accounts. Shout out, Save My Sense. I think I have 10 minutes for questions. So I'd love to open that up.
Yeah, if anyone has any questions. Oh, we already have one. Can you share where you found your various assistants?
I am so lucky that literally some of them just approach me. They're like, I want to help you out. Or I just like share on my newsletter, hi, I'm looking for an assistant to help. And I'm very specific with what I want help with. So I have two assistants who do the blog. So they're mostly ghostwriters. They're checking my grammar, checking my spelling, preparing my blog entries to put online. The assistants for Instagram, one person does only collaboration. So she knows how to set up and run a collaboration. One person only does moderation. So she deletes all of the spammy Bitcoin, Forex comments that I get all the time as a personal finance creator. She also deletes, if she can, like really ugly like DMs, like ugly comments from people who just have nothing but hate for the world. So that makes me rest a little easier at night, knowing that I don't have to wake up to nasty comments.
I was a bit curious when you mentioned that like sending a welcome DM to new followers didn't work out for you. I was wondering why that didn't work out for you.
Yeah, I think people find it a little bit too, like I kind of try to put myself back into the mindset of my follower, which is like, were they expecting a message from me? Probably most of the time not.
Mhm.
And some followers want to be anonymous. Like they don't want to feel like, oh my God, I got discovered by this account that I'm following. So for me, I leave it more like if the followers want to engage with me, I put up a lot of those like poll stickers or ask me a question stickers in stories. That's a really fun way to give your followers the permission to interact with you. And I also say, anytime you comment on a post, I'll probably answer your questions as well, because that helps with my engagement scores.
Mhm.
Um, Daniel asked, after I hit 10,000, was there a best practice that accelerated? I actually don't think I accelerated. I think because of TikTok now having not being part of the equation, I actually feel like on some days my growth is really slow. And in fact, I went on my baby moon last week. My account gained like net 0 followers, and it was very frustrating. So I think every month just try something different. Like the post swap, the collaborations really worked. Oh, okay. And Antoinette just said all partnerships with food bloggers would require payment. I would say to try not to work with food bloggers that require payment. Like, is there like an adjacent space where it's a little bit more friendly and people are okay with collaborations without payment? So for example, I do mental health. Like I'm sure that there's a lot of people who blog about mental health that I can collaborate with. I just haven't found the time to do so, where I don't have to like pay as much as say a food blogger. Or you could collaborate with a different ingredient. Like what are like just think about like food collaborations you would live for. Like I love Chobani yogurt. I love to see them do like a collab with a fruit brand or something. Chobani yogurt and I don't know, Driscoll strawberries or something and do something really funny with that. Like I feel like that's like a perfect marriage. So just think about like what are other things that people pay attention to or would want to know about in addition to your own content. I got a private message. When you want to sell a course, but you're starting for zero, how can you grow before spending too much on platforms? What do you prioritize? Great question. The reason why I am still doing private coaching all the time is because I learn the most about my audience and what they really struggle with, what they want help with from private coaching. So that's always been something that I offer. And from my private coaching, once I get a series of similar questions or series of similar struggles, I then build a course off of it because that means that I've given people tried and true methods and it starts to repeat itself and it can be mass produced. Another thing that I do is ask for people to want to test your course. I've had D&Ders help me test a course every now and then. I've had loyal followers do the same thing where for like a month or two, you develop a course and you ask for feedback, like super honest feedback down to typos. I've had a lot of typos because I'm really bad at spelling. And that allows me to then perfect a course that I feel comfortable enough to sell widely. And maybe the first run of the course, you discount it a lot to just to get it in front of a lot more people. And then you raise prices and then you can add more content as you go to give more value over time.
If anyone has any last questions, feel free to drop them in the chat.
You can also DM me, just like find me on Instagram, be like, hey,
yes.
I'm from D&D, I got a question. I know sometimes like people don't come up with questions right away, but I'm more than happy to help another D&D'er out. Like this is something that I don't get to talk about as often. And like I feel like if I talk about it with my friends who are in the personal finance space, there's always like a bit of a cage around it because like you feel like you're talking with competitors. So it's also to my benefit that I get to chat with you.
Well, thank you so much for generously offering that. We really appreciate you. And if anyone isn't already following Shang on Instagram, it is a must. So much great content. Thank you so much for hosting this session and sharing what has worked for you. I know social media is just like, it's a lot and it's like constantly changing. So we really, really appreciate you. Just investing in us investing in us in this way. We really appreciate you. And in the chat, I'm going to drop our events feedback form. We always love hearing what everyone thinks of our events. It's completely anonymous, so please feel free to share your candid thoughts with us. They are so valuable. It was so great learning alongside everyone today. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next one.